Welcome to The Conversation with Pat Harvey. In this series, I'll dive into various topics with my guests in a more intimate and unfiltered setting. And I am so excited and honored to be here today at the Array Studios with the world-renowned filmmaker and SoCal native, Miss Ava DuVernay.
Thank you so much for being here. Happy you're here.
Oh, Ava, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to start from the beginning. You were
Let me start by thanking you.
Oh.
For your work, for our city.
Oh, Ava.
You are an icon here.
Oh.
You are an institution. When we get home and we turn on our TVs, we feel like we're home when we see you. How many years has it been?
Oh, 37.
Wow, really? How incredible.
Yeah, 37 here.
Thank you for that. We take for granted because we turn on and you're always there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's a lot of work and a lot of passion and a lot of love. So thank you.
That means so much to me. Now, I hope I can get through this interview with that.
Thank you.
But I want to start at the beginning because I want our viewers to really know Ava DuVernay. Mm-hmm. You were born in Long Beach, raised in Compton. Mm-hmm. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. 20 miles from Hollywood, sort of the shadow of Hollywood.
Yes.
What was growing up like?
You know, it felt so far from anything that I do now. I mean, I remember we never even went to L.A. Mm-hmm. And I don't think people who don't live here don't understand that Long Beach and downtown L.A. are two different worlds.
Right.
And so I remember we would go to Los Angeles to go visit the family cemetery, which is in Fox Hills. Oh, and that was when we would go to, see our loved ones. We were going to L.A. and it would take a long time to get there. But it really felt like a different world. Knew no one in the entertainment industry, knew no one in that world of film and TV, but really always loved that kind of storytelling. My Aunt Denise gave me a love of movies. I remember also one other time going to LA, two other times going to LA as a young person, to the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion to see my first play.
Yes.
I thought that was the epitome of fancy.
I bet beautiful.
I had never seen anything like it. And then another time when we went to the Shrine Auditorium to see the rehearsals for the Oscars. We would stand outside and watch people go in. But that just shows you how limited my interaction with Los Angeles proper was growing up in Compton, Linwood, South Cape. That was our own world, and so we didn't go anywhere else.
So at that time, even with your Aunt Denise introducing you to the arts, did you have an inkling like, I can do this later, or did you just
no?
Okay.
No, who do what? How do you do that? No, it's not. Had no clue how that stuff was done, and even as you get older, you never imagine yourself being able to do it.
And what you've done. For sure.
Yeah, it's truly a miracle.
Well,
yeah, to me.
Well, you're extra special. But going back to Hollywood just a little bit, I understand that you worked at Aunt Kissy's back porch.
I sure did.
In the marina.
One of my
as a waitress.
Favorite jobs I've ever had.
Oh, my God.
Do you remember it?
Oh, my goodness, yes. I used to go there quite a bit. I lived in the marina at that time.
Okay.
But there were a lot of stars and movie folks coming through. Did you meet some people?
Everybody.
Okay.
Yes.
Did that even spark something in you?
No, because I was a student at UCLA at that time, and it was such a great job, Pat. Like, I got those tips, those big plates. I got to take home leftovers to my roommates, and the tips were plentiful. And because it was in the marina, and that was, all of the SoCal natives will know, at the time, that was the place where any team that was playing the Lakers.
That's right.
They would stay at the marina.
They sure
did. As a young lady, it was.
What could have been better?
It was lovely to hand ribs to the various players. Great tippers, fun. But no, those were the high school years. Aunt Kissy's back porch.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you also had some open mic nights.
I did.
Rapping?
Yeah, down at the Good Life, which was a little health food wellness shop on Crenshaw.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I would frequent the open mics there, and just the whole underground hip hop scene in LA. You did your research.
Oh, well, I'm talking to Ava DuVernay. Come on now.
But LA is such a vibrant city, and such a sprawl.
Yes,
you can really live 9 lives in the different parts of the city, and so over the course of my time here, I've been able to frequent a lot of different pockets and do a lot of different things.
Well, you were a college student, I believe, during the rebellion in 1992. I want to ask you how that impacted you at all? And did that actually influence some of your storytelling later in life?
Well, just the way you describe it is just such an indication of your knowledge of what happened, your respect for community. A lot of people will call it riots, but it really was a rebellion of people who but were unseen, unheard, and it really was a bubbling up of so many factors, Latasha Harlins, and so many things that had happened in the years before. I was a college student at that time, and so it felt particularly visceral and top of mind for me to be out on the street protesting, participating in the different...
Did you?
I did a lot of things.
Okay.
Yes, in the community, and just to make our voices heard. And so I think back on that time and how much the city has changed. Remember, we had Daryl Gates and so much going on with our forever mayor Tom Bradley. The reason why I call him that, I'll have to tell you. I thought the mayor of Los Angeles was Tom Bradley, in that there could be no other. Since I was a little girl,
yes,
the mayor was Tom Bradley, or
yeah,
something like
longer
that.
than any mayor in terms of his tenure.
Literally, I just thought, well, there are no elections. The mayor is Tom Bradley. What are we talking about? And so, just that time growing up here, I think the city, has it changed to you? Do you think?
Well, sometimes it seems like we're coming back.
Yes.
That maybe what we're talking about is a bit different, but it's almost a repetition.
It's true.
When you think about a lot, especially the protests, and a lot of the ICE demonstrations,
That's right.
Yeah. That's it's almost like we don't want the keg to blow.
Right.
But does it feel like that to you?
Yeah, well, it's cyclical. If you don't solve problems, they come back around. If you put a Band-Aid on them, it's not enough to actually heal the wounds. And so there's some self-healing that happens and some maturation. But, our city is just such a magnet for different people from different places that it feels like at some point there would be some kind of more meaningful coming together. And so, I remember it at times growing up. I remember when the Pope came.
Yeah. Oh, you do?
I remember when the Pope came.
Okay.
I went to Catholic school for 12 years, first through 12th
did.
grade,
And
St.
you
Emilius
were
in
homecoming
Linwood.
queen, too.
Yes, that's right. And but I remember when he came. I remember when the first Olympics were here. Like these huge moments that really galvanized the city.
But the mayor Bradley was over those Olympics too.
That's true.
Right, and did a fantastic job.
Yeah, it was a good job.
Yeah,
it was a good job.
Now you did go to UCLA.
Yeah.
As we talked about, you majored in African American Studies and English.
Yeah.
You began an internship at CBS News.
I did. I could be Pat Harvey Jr.
Oh, listen.
if things had gone differently.
Oh my God, that is a big time compliment. I wish I could have said I could be Ava. Don't think so.
I never had a desire to be in front of the camera. I didn't have, I don't think the charisma or the gravitas at the time to feel like I could be in front of the camera. I went to produce news.
All right.
And write the news.
Well,
and so that's what I was really interested in.
And you were thrown into one of the most, talk about history in Los Angeles, the most, renowned trial of the century, the O.J. Simpson trial.
O.J. Simpson
and
trial.
that turned you off.
It did, because when you track back, and even scholars who study this really call that year a delineation mark between when more tabloidy elements started to make its way into news.
Yes.
And we've seen, just that kind of, spiral. But I always regarded CBS as hard news, the home of Walter Cronkite. And when we're thrust into this big spectacle of a trial, there were certain things. All of the networks were competing for the juicy bits.
Who was going to get the
Who was going to get the bit? On all the decadent, salacious details, unfortunately. And so I found myself not in the hard news category, but more being asked to do some of those things. And to be fair, it was a news organization just like all of them, kind of struggling to keep up with competitors and stay with the appetite of viewers. But I thought, this might not be for me.
And as you said, such a salacious story.
It was.
That was hard to cover.
It was.
And that talk about tearing a city apart.
Right.
Do you remember that?
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you went on to become a publicist.
Yeah.
Most people thought that you studied film in school, and who wouldn't think that?
No.
So how did that happen? Why did you decide to become a publicist?
Well, I always was interested in the news. And so after the journalism piece, you know, I got a glimpse of it through this really beautiful internship with CBS National News. I thought, what else can I do in news? And publicists pitch, you know, news stories. They pitch entertainment stories. They pitch lifestyle stories and health stories. And so I thought, let me look into that. So I got a job in publicity, entry level, and found that I was good at it, and I really liked it. I like being able to shape stories and present stories to the public. You know?
So as a publicist, you were able to do that, because that is really kind of like the introduction.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, but you made a big shift to film.
Yes.
Is it true that you taught yourself how to direct?
I think everybody teaches themselves how to direct, but some people get to go to school. I didn't go to film school. I picked up a camera when I was 32 and just started to play with it. I made my first short, and then I made my first little doc, and then, you know, just little by little on my vacations and weekends from my job as a publicist, I just started making things. It's much easier to do now. Cameras are much easier to come by, editing equipment. At the time, it wasn't as hard as it had been, but, you know, it was still not easy to get your hands on cameras and things.
This is just amazing. Well, I remember shooting 16 millimeter film back in the day when I first started, thinking I'm not going to be able to do this, go and change a magazine in a dark room. But,
but you did.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's right.
And you talked about your first film. Was that 2010? I Will Follow?
I Will Follow was the first feature.
Okay.
First feature. I'd done a documentary about the Crenshaw corridor and underground hip hop in LA 2 years before.
Wow.
Called This Is the Life. That was my first feature documentary, but my first film with actors was I Will Follow.
And there was a personal connection to that film.
Yes, it was about my Aunt Denise, who gave me a love of film and always took me to the movies. And so it was about the last few months of her life when we lived together in a house in Long Beach before she passed away of breast cancer. When, you know, just kind of reconciling what do you do when someone that you love moves on?
It was beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And then things just seemed to happen. They seemed to pop, middle of nowhere in 2012. Can I say that's the first time I saw the gentleman from Power?
Oh, well, yes. He's in I Will Follow, too. Yeah. Nice looking gentleman.
Yeah. That was, but it was also based on a black medical student, a female. He was married to... Yeah,
married to a man who's incarcerated. And it's really about the families and the spouses and the siblings who are left behind when an individual is incarcerated. Really for us to think about the destruction to the whole family unit that happens.
Yeah, because you don't see that.
Yeah.
Okay. Selma.
Yeah.
2014. Would you say that film really established you as a major player in Hollywood?
I don't know about major player, but it definitely, you know, we'd won Sundance for Middle of Nowhere, the film before, which really helped me be hired on Selma. And Selma was the first major budget film. It was the first film that was made, you know, with any kind of studio, wasn't independent, big marketing campaign. And yeah, it really changed things in terms of the way that I saw myself and the way that I was seen.
What do you see when you look in the camera? I mean, just in terms of making those scenes and directing, and I love the black and white footage. I love that. I'm a history buff.
Yeah.
But just how did you develop? You know, you're going from your first feature, and then you ended up doing something like Selma that was up for major awards.
Yeah.
Should have won, quite frankly.
Thank you. Thank you. You know what? I watched a lot of DVD commentaries. I don't know if people remember DVDs, but there used to be, you could put a commentary on, so when you were watching the film, you could actually hear the director talk about their choices. And so that was really my film school. Also, I was a publicist, so I was on many sets. I actually watched directors do their thing, mostly men. And while watching them, I learned things that I wanted to do, but also I really learned things that I didn't want to do. The ways that I would do it, the different way that I would speak with the actor, or where I would put the camera. And so while I was in publicity, I was always watching what was happening around me. So when I got to my own sets, I really just said, you know what, I'm just going to follow my instincts and do it my way. I've seen enough directors who did it differently. Everyone doesn't do it the same.
Right.
So I thought, well, maybe my way could be a way. And when I got to the set, I just really started, I really don't look through the camera when I'm directing. I'm looking at the actors and what they're doing in front of me.
Wow.
And wanting just to make sure that emotion comes out and that I trust that the frame that I've set is working. But if I have a pretty frame, but it's empty with the actors, it doesn't really
not gonna
matter.
work.
Yeah, so I prioritized that and just kind of taught myself my own way.
Such confidence.
Not, you know what? You could call it that. Maybe confidence. Maybe it's stupidity. I don't know. But,
No.
But,
you know it's not that.
But I took some risks,
Yeah.
and they paid off. And I think that's the thing. If it didn't work, I never left my job. So I always was doing the first 3 films. This Is the Life, I Will Follow in the Middle of Nowhere. I had a full-time job when I was making those films. And so I didn't just risk it all.
Yeah.
I took measured risks, and I tried to learn as I went. And when I made the decision to do filmmaking full-time, I felt, I was ready to really jump in the deep end.
And you manage your time well. And you obviously were dedicated to be able to work and then do these other projects. I mentioned this, I think, when I saw you a couple of years ago, the documentary 13. That just did something to me. I thought it was a master class, not only in journalism, but storytelling. And when I look at how you frame that, and we learn more about the criminal justice system, because believe it or not, even a lot of us in journalism didn't necessarily go back to find out what the private prisons were all about.
Right.
So, and even that 1998 crime bill,
Yes.
you put that piece into perspective and you looked at the criminal justice system and racial prejudice, and it was so very strong and powerful.
Thank you. I love that piece. I love being able to go between documentary and narrative film. But I know that 13th actually did some good, because it acquainted a lot of people to the rigors and the injustices of the justice system that we just need to be more aware of as people who pay taxes into these systems. And so a lot of young people, they were the first audience for it when Netflix gives you the numbers. It really kind of took hold in youth communities around the world first. And then they passed it to their parents and teachers, and it was discovered.
Yeah, I remember the chains of emails and phone calls about the 13th.
Good.
Central Park 5, more about social justice.
Yeah.
You kind of answered it just now, but I want you to answer it again in terms of what you want the audience to get from these powerful films that you make
Yeah.
that have to do with social justice.
Yeah, well, when they see us was really, I just wanted people to understand that when you're watching the news, it is important for you to understand that, if you're watching a good news report, you're hearing it, objective with no sauce, no spices on it. You're just getting the facts. And if you're hearing something that feels has a point of view, know that there's another point of view, right? And that as we hear, news about crime, if you're hearing any reports that are indicting or accusing or are making decisions about the outcomes in advance, then you're not hearing real news. You're hearing something that's more propaganda. And when you go back, and a lot of studies have been done by major universities, look at the local and national news coverage of that case. It was all slanted, and that had a lot to do with the race of the victim and the race of the accused. And so I wanted it to get people thinking about their news and how they consume, and to think before you believe.
And we got a lot of backstory that we didn't get in normal storytelling.
That's right.
Well, in news coverage. Yeah. Appreciate
Context.
that as well. Absolutely. You also seem to enjoy doing movies that inspire or pieces that inspire. Queen Sugar.
Ah,
That was a personal favorite
I'm glad.
of mine. There seemed to be a lot of love that went into that production, and the fact you used female directors. So you shattered some ceilings, some glass ceilings while making that. But there was also a personal connection. Was that about your grandfather?
It was about it was really about my father. Yeah. Based on my father and where was from in the South, and just that, the black family dynamic. And, we see so many iterations of different kinds of a different kind of family, and so few about families of color. I want to see a beautiful 1-hour drama. I want to see 3 on the different Latino families, Asian American families, Middle Eastern families, black families. We don't get those. And so when I had a chance to make a film, a series, I really wanted to to do that. So we had 7 seasons on the
Yes.
Oprah Winfrey Network. It was extraordinary.
And loved how it ended.
I miss it. Oh, you like that last
Yeah,
episode?
you wrapped it up
Yes,
really,
thank
really,
you.
really nice.
I'm proud of it.
Well, you should be.
Thank you.
And I'm thank you again for doing that.
Thank you.
You know,
I think during Queen Sugar is the first time we ever tweeted. I think you tweeted.
You remember
and I said, Pat Harvey
Oh,
knows me. Yes,
how do
I
you
remember.
remember
I think that
that?
was something around sugar, I think.
it was.
Okay.
I just, and I normally don't do that, but I was so enthralled
Yes.
and looked forward to it
Thank
every
you.
week. So
Yeah.
yeah, I did tweet that.
Yay.
And I think you tweeted me
I
back.
think I did.
Or gave me a heart. And again, I'm like, oh my goodness. But I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. I'm glad.
And back about Array.
Mm.
It seems like when you decided to use female directors, that is part of the mission here
Yes.
at your studio. You
Yes.
wanted to make a point that in your production teams you hire as many women as you do men.
Absolutely. Well, we just want to have parity. You know, we just want to. We say that there should be more balance, and that there should be, you know, all kinds of people allowed to be behind the camera. What we're trying to do with Queen Sugar is really correct a decades-long imbalance. If you look at the majority of
directors.
television shows that have been on all male shows,
Yeah.
all male directors for season after season, network after network, show after show. So we said, well, you know what, we're going to make one that goes the other way. If you can have all men for 4 decades, we can have all women for one show. So we did.
Well, boy, they did a beautiful job. Too.
They did.
Okay.
They did.
Origin, real quick. Again, I wanted to thank you for making that film.
Thank you.
Because Isabel's book was pretty long, and some of us got a little distracted doing other things. But you made the words really come alive
No, thank you.
from the page. Was that difficult for you to do?
You know, I saw when I read the book, and I also was able to learn a bit about her personal story. I thought there was a way to take the book and her personal story and put it together for audiences to digest a little in a different way.
Yeah.
And I think that worked for a lot of people.
Oh, it was
Yeah,
beautifully done.
Yeah, I'm
There's
glad.
no question.
That makes me really happy.
Well, let's get back to Hollywood. And now let's jump forward. It's no stranger to challenges, obviously, but the latest one, undoubtedly, I would say, is AI. Do you agree with that? What do you feel about that? And you know
it's
how the
kinda-
technology and
Yeah.
the impact on the entertainment industry.
Yeah, I think there are different levels of AI, and certainly tools that allow filmmakers to dream of new worlds and have more vibrant reach into their imagination are positive things. It's not much different than when we do special effects or any other thing over the years. But tools that take away from kind of human ingenuity, craftspeople who are coming together to make a thing is a different level of AI. It's going to happen. It's happening. Jobs are going away. It happens with any industry. But I think it's incumbent upon artists to really use the tools responsibly. There are some AI tools that are interesting to me, that they allow me as a filmmaker who, you know, may not ever have a $250 million budget to, well, what if I wanted to make a film about space? How would I do that? There, I could possibly use those along with other craftspeople and artists to create something. But when you start thinking about, oh, we're just going to turn on this computer and have it tell its own stories to us, that's something that gets into an area where we really have to think about, you know, what stories really do, what they really mean, how they power culture, how they change the way we think about ourselves and other people, how they create empathy, how they create division.
Yes.
And when you leave that to a computer by itself or AI by itself, then you get into troubled areas. So I think right now it's like AI writ large is bad. We have to have more nuance and see that there are some tools that can actually help democratize the process, and there are others that are destructive, and we need to be able to eat and chew gum at the same time and see that we need to really have some discernment about it.
Oh, I love that answer. The industry itself in Los Angeles, a lot has been, well, it's moved.
Yeah.
Many productions have moved out of state.
Yeah.
I think about Atlanta for one.
Yeah.
Are you concerned about that?
You know, I have to say, I didn't know that you would ask that question immediately. I got pretty emotional because I know of so many, and when I say so many, I can count, you know, on 2 hands and feet the number of artists who have moved out of the state because they cannot work here. And I'm talking about actors, directors, craftspeople below the line, all kinds of people who just cannot. There is no production here in the way that that supports a whole industry of people. It's not different than, steel moving out of Pittsburgh or cars moving out of Detroit. It decimates a whole industry. I don't think people who don't live here really realize how much entertainment powers so much of our economy here. And so you may think, oh, it's just stars in Hollywood. That's not what it's about. You have hundreds and hundreds of people at the end of a movie. That scroll of names are hard-working people with kids and mortgages and dreams who don't have jobs. And so it's really something that we need to pay attention to, and it's a tough time right now.
Okay. But you think we're going to come out of this?
I think we could if we all pay attention and work together on it. Yeah. Okay. I think we all have to pay attention.
Well, Ava, what's next? What's on the horizon for you?
I'm working on a documentary right now. That I'm really excited about. That'll be out later in the year, so I'm excited about that. I'm writing my next movie with actors, so I'm excited about that.
Ooh. And can you give us any insight, or do we have to wait?
I can tell you it's going to be good.
Okay.
It's gotta be good.
That's a soundbite.
Gotta be as good as I can make it. And yeah, just doing all of the work that we do here at Array to support education, to support cinema literacy, to support kind of art and imagination and justice and the way that those collide. Here at Array, we have free films to the community. We want to bring people together, convene people around cinema. All you have to do is go online, register, you have a seat, you can watch films from around the world for free, meet new people. I really think cinema is a window to the world. And I think that we all need to be kind of looking beyond our window and reaching out and holding hands. Absolutely.
Love that, Ava.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a young person who wants to be in the industry and is getting a little discouraged by the fact that what we just talked about so much production moving away, or just the difficulty, the AI of it all, or just not, feeling comfortable or encouraged to continue? Yeah,
no, it's a great question. It's a real question I get quite a bit. I say don't focus on the industry, focus on your work. Focus on your work. You got to push the industry aside. It may or may not be there for you. Your stories, your work, your film, your song, your sculpture, your painting, your book, whatever you're doing is what matters. So focus on being an artist as opposed to being in the industry. And when you make good work, an audience will come to it. And that might be through the industry, that might be through independent means. But if the work's not good, it doesn't matter. Wow. All right. Real quick, just my last little personal question. Is there a time of day that you like better to write, or is there a place that you like to be? That's a nice question. I like to write at night. Okay. Because I know the phone is not going to ring and nothing's going to happen. No one needs me here at Array. I don't need much. I just need a quiet table when I can look out at something pretty. And that doesn't have to be, some friends, my friend Ryan Coogler, he likes to write in coffee shops. Is that right? With a lot of people. It works for him. Yeah. It works for him. He likes that energy. For me, I need a little bit of quiet. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Sinners certainly wasn't quiet. It was a wonderful movie. Listen, whatever he did worked. I was going to say, whatever you get if it's from a latte or whatever, let's get this brother a coffee shop. Okay? I love that. For sure. Well, Ava, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to sit with you. Well, such a pleasure. We learned so much about you and just about your brilliance and how you got there. I appreciate it. Thank you for everything. And thank you. Continued success. Thank you. And thank you for watching The Conversations with Pat Harvey.